Welcome to The Wave, everyone. I'm your host, Erica Porzio, Executive Director with the Revere Chamber of Commerce, and I am joined by my co-host.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anasha Girma, Real Estate Divorce Specialist at Century 21 Northeast.
Today, we are going to dive into two amazing spotlights with two fantastic business owners. First, we'll be joined by broker and team lead for Century 21 Pratt Properties, Peggy Pratt. And she'll tell us a little bit about how she created her real estate empire, her experience in the field, and then as well, thereafter we'll be joined by Walkiria Delacruz of WEA Tax Services, and she'll tell us a little bit about her tax service business and some of the consulting and business that she does with her clients. Hello, everyone. Today we are spotlighting Peggy Pratt, who is broker owner, Century 21, and leads the team for Pratt Properties. Welcome.
Thank you, Erica. Happy to be here as a Revere resident. It's an honor to join you ladies today.
It's an honor to have you. So let's talk a little bit about your business, Pratt Properties. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been in the real estate industry for 27 years now, a very long time. I started in East Boston. I was pretty young, didn't know what I wanted to do, tried it all. I've had clothing stores, restaurants, I had a jewelry store. I tried it all. I knew I wanted to be in business. I was very motivated and, as they say, full of blank and vinegar. But I found that nothing fulfilled me like real estate, because I was giving back my time while I was making an income, because I noticed that I was making a change in families' lives. I helped a lot of Latino, a lot of immigrant families at the time. There wasn't a lot of Spanish-speaking realtors, so I felt that that really catapulted my career. And I'm very proud to say that many of those clients now, I'm servicing their children, and I've seen how they've built their real estate empire through the years. Wow. By just getting in on the right time, helping them in any way I could to be able to purchase a home, giving them advice, prepping them sometimes 6 months or a year, and just seeing the fruits of our labor now. I mean, that's what I really think keeps me, going and in the game, even though, the demographics have changed and the way my business is run has changed, but I feel it's been for the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us a little bit about that. So how's the path been? So you have 27 years of experience. Amazing. You wrote a book. We're going to talk about that too, because that's huge. We need to talk about that. But before we get into that, let's kind of get into the nitty gritty. So like you said, you started in East Boston, 27 years of experience. You run a team. In case people don't know, you probably should know, because I've heard of Peggy well before I even joined the chamber. You run an amazing team. I know that you are regarded in our community as someone that is very good at what she does. But we've also heard notions that you are also much of an educator as well. So could you tell us a little bit about, how the path's been and all of that?
Well, I think everyone who's successful began with a good or a great mentor. So I have this philosophy of sharing, right? Sometimes some of the old school philosophies are don't tell people how you do it, don't share the wealth, don't share the knowledge. To the opposite, I feel that I have to pay it forward. I had great mentors. They gave me great tips. They told me from the beginning of my career, they said, you're not going to make a lot of money just selling homes to everybody else. You have to buy. And hearing that at 19 years old, sitting at a conference table, that sparked something in me to know that I had to buy. Right. And thanks to those mentors, I did buy and was able to buy and have, that grow and share that knowledge and those examples with my customers. So as I said, paying it forward to me is really important. I've done coaching for some organizations. I've helped a lot of people get into the business, even though, just mentoring through companies. They haven't even been on my team, but if I'm able to help them, why not? We need to build better professionals, and I'm involved in different organizations where we do that, right? We make sure that the professional is trained, we mastermind, because in turn then they service their client better, and we need to lift the standard of customer service in this industry. People aren't buying a box of tomatoes at Haymarket. This is the largest investment that they're going to make, right? If they're selling a property, I need to make sure that it goes smoothly and that they profit. And then, not only that, it's after. What are they doing with the money? There's 1031 exchange vehicles. There's a lot of financial vehicles that I try to educate them in what to do with their money to make sure it's safe and that it grows and that they're building future wealth.
Wonderful. So it sounds like a very holistic approach that you approach with how you service your clients. You know, it's one thing many people think, and correct me if I'm wrong. So Anasha, my co-anchor today, you're also a real estate professional. So just kind of hearing all this, especially from someone that's been experienced for 27 years, what are your thoughts?
I just want to say, well, I'd like to vouch for what Peggy is saying, because when I started at Century 21, even though I'm not on her team, I came in as a solo agent and I have another mentor. Peggy was instrumental in really, you know, showing me the ropes of Century 21, answering my texts very promptly, and I just want to say thank you for that, because, you know, as a new agent starting in a whole new area,
scary too.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So having you there, and just know that, like, you're one text away is really
No,
wonderful.
you're welcome. You're welcome. Listen, the real estate industry is not easy, right? I've got people, I want to say, I'll get that monthly call. My nephew, my niece, you know, can they meet with you? I feel bad. Sometimes I scare them away, but I just tell them how it is, right? You know, there's too many people watching $1 Million Listing and all these flippant shows, and they make it sound like it's just all fun and glorious and fabulous and luxurious, and maybe some realtors, as myself, have made it look that way. But it takes a really long time to get to this place, and it takes hard work, and it takes caring about, you know, your client and your customer, and so I know it's daunting. And you know, again, of course, anything that I can do sometimes along the way to help someone or give them a tip, I'm here.
Nice. Now let's talk about Breaking the Glass Ceiling.
Okay, so Breaking the Glass Ceiling is an anthology. It's a book. I was approached last year by a really famous life coach. She said, I've got a lot of great women, and I'd like to put together this anthology where each one of you writes one chapter about your life. And I said, I'm in. Yeah. I'm in. I love it. I mean, I could definitely write a book. We all have, you know, we all grow up a certain way. I mean, they say adversity is the mother of invention, and that happened to me. I had to invent and reinvent myself many times. Wow. You know, it was not easy growing up, but, you know, you build thick skin. So I was proud to be called and invited to be part of this book. It's called Breaking the Glass Ceiling. We actually made, you know, the Amazon #1 the bestseller list. Wow. As an inspiring book. You guys can purchase it definitely on Amazon if you'd like. And it tells the story of 21 women who have hustled hard, been through it, and have come on top. And you know, I think it's motivational, because sometimes there's people out there wondering how they're going to break the glass ceiling, how they, as women, can further themselves and feel like they're on an even playing field. And yes, there's people that have immigrated to this country, there's people that were born in this country, and you know, success is out there for everyone. It's just how hard you wanna work for it and how high you wanna reach.
Love it. Love it. Very motivating.
Absolutely.
So tell us about your team. So you have a very successful team. So it's one thing that you're successful in what you do and educated, but what's more is that you've built an amazing team with dynamic qualities. So tell us a little bit about your team.
So it's kind of happened organically. I have to say, you know, there's a lot of team leaders out there that have tons of systems. There's the military style. There's all kinds of styles of team leaders. I'm more organic, where, you know, people on my team have been my friends, right? I grew up with one of them. You know, she got in the business. I said, come on in. There's money to be made here. Another one was my partner in some buildings first. And then, you know, I said, you know, you're in the service industry. You know a lot of people. You've got great customer service skills. He said, why don't I join your team? I said, come on, let's see how you do. My other team member, Aylin, who's been with me the longest, she was my assistant for many years. And I said, listen, you have this customer service flame in you. You educate people. You have patience. You're helpful. You need to get into the sales. So it kind of happened organically, where each one of them is a little different. Each one of them has their style. I've got a new kid as well, young Portuguese speaking, named Felipe. You know, So I don't run a large team. I rather have like a familia, like a smaller team.
Quality over quantity?
Quality over
Love it.
quantity. We invest together, and we grow together. And I just feel that that's kind of like the vibe that works for me and my team. And I do the best that I can to motivate them and stay on them. Because listen, everyone has a down day, but it's who you have in your circle that keeps you going.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what would you say, I know that each one of your team members sort of brings something unique to the table, but in addition to that, what would you say sets your team apart from other real estate teams that are out there, whether at Century 21 or any of the numerous real estate companies that are around?
I want to say integrity. Integrity. Not one of them I have ever heard say, you know, we're going to do it this way because this is what's going to benefit us. Everyone on my team is there for the customer. They have integrity, they're honest, and they're loyal to their customers, whether it means not making a dollar. I've seen them go above and beyond just to service someone, because to them, reputation is very important.
Right.
Yeah,
So you're really looking at sort of the long game.
It's been 27 years.
Right.
I always thought of this as my long game career, and I knew that what was most important was my name and my reputation. At the end of the day, that's what we have.
I did read some of your biography, and I know that you said you work very hard to not only build that reputation but protect it throughout your career.
There's been very many instances where I could have made money, and I decided that that wasn't the right thing to do at the time, because, like as I said, I'm in this for the long haul, right?
Right.
So there are executive decisions that must be made to preserve that. And I'm really happy and proud that I've gotten where I've gotten, and that people respect and appreciate my work. And I love my community. I love my sellers. I love my clients. We've become friends over the years, and I invest with them if they want to do something, and I believe in it. So to me, it's about building reputation and community.
That's right. Love that.
Can you maybe elaborate on one specific instance where you decided to choose integrity or the person over the sale?
Yeah, it was a very, very long time ago. This one sticks out in my head, where I had a gentleman say, I want to purchase this property. And I told him, it is very overpriced. I don't think it's a good property for you. The numbers don't work. I don't see it feasible. I don't believe that it's the best property for you right now for this price. I'm concerned that it's going to be a property that you will not be able to maintain. It won't be sustainable.
Right, it's going to be a burden.
It's going to be a burden financially, and he did not listen to me and got another broker, and she sold him
And
the
I'm
property.
sure they sold it right to him, right?
She sold him the property, and then a few years later he went bad, just as I knew that he would. But you know, and I walked away from that. At the time, did I need the money? Yes, I needed the money. It was quite a long time ago, and as the mother of three, it's
Mother of three as well, writing a book, running a team. Right.
At the time, yes, I could have used the money, but I knew that it wasn't right, and I'd rather sleep at night, knowing that I've done the right thing.
And there's that measure of integrity right there, and that echoes through your team as well.
Exactly.
I love it. Yeah, no, and that's the thing is, you got to eat, but at the same time, we're planting a seed, and good business comes with those relationships and putting that integrity out there, because it's going to reciprocate back to you. I always tell people good business comes with being kind, giving face value. The components that you just discussed, giving people face value, and sometimes people might even be a little scared because the reality of the situation, it may not be perfect for them. But having people and having a team and having professionals like yourself that can advise them holistically. And it sounds like, as an investor as well, you're someone that has some core knowledge about finances. And as someone like myself, and I'm an advisor, I see many people in sales, but in particular in the real estate market, in many different facets of it, and they're very salesy. So it's nice to know that there are professionals like yourself that yield that experience, that knowledge, but you've also lived through it, and you're a parent. That's amazing. And that shows the dynamic of who you are as a person and what you offer your clients. It's great.
Thank you. What I just try to do is I try to sell, if it's an investment property, something to someone that I would buy myself. You know, there's going to be different needs and characteristics, and there's going to be different factors and calculations why something may work for someone else where it may not work for me, or vice versa. But I basically want to make sure that I'm selling them something that is going to be profitable, because if I do that, they're going to be profitable and they're going to be happy. They're going to come back. They're going to have more money to buy more homes. They're going to refer their clients. They're going to refer their family. This is a referral business. So it's very important. Have I had a few bad deals in my career? Of course, there's been people that have been unhappy a few different times. Those are things that are out of my hands, things that occur. And there's always going to be someone that's never going to be happy with what you do. But, you know, that's part of the business. You know, you can't date every prom queen, and you do the best you can. And, you know, the great experiences outweigh the ones that are so-so.
And I did notice that on Google you had, I think, something like 150 five-star reviews. Ooh. So, you know, it's not only you sort of coming out here and talking about how much you are there for your clients, and, you know, the level of integrity that you and your team display. It's also other people sort of going out on Google anonymously, or, you know, sometimes with their names out there, saying, hey, Peggy's awesome. She's someone we can trust. She's someone who educates us.
I'm still at awe sometimes when they just do it on their own. I'll say, oh, do you mind giving me, if you have time? But, you know, I'm really appreciative. I'm really appreciative of that. And sometimes when I read it, I'm like, wow, that was so nice of them. Yeah, it really, I'm really happy that I chose this industry, or this industry chose me, because, you know, you can make a difference. As I said, when I was younger, I had the restaurants, right? I went back to school, I went back to college, you know, I was doing the creative writing. I was trying to find what I wanted to do, but nothing really fulfilled me like this, because you make a difference, you make an impact, and you create generational wealth. You help families create that legacy and stop the, you know, the generational karma regarding finances and the fear of finances. I also wanted to say I have a podcast. The majority of all the episodes are in English, even though the title is in Spanish. It's called Sin Permiso, which means without permission. It's on Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube. Sin Permiso, which basically talks about the scarcity mindset of Latinos who sometimes immigrate to this country or are born, how money is a dirty word. How, you know, and I think that's in a lot of other cultures as well, how we don't talk about money, or how someone is ambitious means they're greedy. So, you know, I like to have those conversations about how, no, you need to get that out of your mind, and we need to focus on how do we better our families' future wealth? How do we stop this generational karma where, you know, it's not good to have money or associate with money? You know, how money builds a legacy and helps, you know, the families towards the future, and how to prepare for retirement, right? There's just so much to talk about that sometimes we don't talk about. So I really get excited when I talk about these things, because I think that we need more education, and, you know, even in the schools, right? Why aren't these sophomores and juniors learning about finances more in the schools, right? Yes. Why are we not preparing them? You know, I pulled a Disney credit card when I was 16 and a half years old. I applied, they gave it to me. I don't even know. I loved the Disney store at the time. I ruined my credit. By the time I was 19, I had bad credit, which was ridiculous because no one educated me. I had to work hard. I had to put like 10% down on my first home when I was 22. But I did it, which I shouldn't have to have had done that. I should have been able to use another program. But, you know, we need more financial literacy out there.
You know, the fact that you are sitting here and saying this, like, you're giving me goosebumps, because one of the things I like to do is look at data in order to, you know, you can learn so much from just looking at the math. And one of my, like, weird favorite things that I like to do is to read, like, the census. So when you read, like, the 2010, 2020 census, what you find out is that, you know, Latinos in America are sort of number 2 from the bottom, right? They're like so in need of this education in terms of wealth ownership, right? So, like, when you're number 2 from the bottom, in terms of wealth ownership, and we have someone like you, Peggy Pratt, who's coming out and saying, look, we need to educate people financially about what's going on. Where are we, as a community within the standing? Not to say that you only help Latinos. I know that you help everyone else as well. But the fact that you're out there doing this work and really working to change wealth ownership in America is really important, especially considering that there's a huge percent of Latinos here.
46%.
Right, but such a small amount of wealth ownership, and the fact that you're working towards that is really inspiring.
Thank you, thank you. No, the numbers are the numbers. I believe up to last year, I don't have the new numbers, but we, for instance, African American home ownership was only 17% last year. Hispanics are up there with closer to 30% because they have a lot of pride in homes. But bridging this gap of home ownership for everyone, it's huge because we say it, and I don't get tired of saying it. Home ownership is the path to wealth. There is no quicker vehicle to make money, to become wealthy than home ownership. So if we can do something now and talk to our youth and instill this in our youth and have them on that path, it's going to change the narrative for them, definitely, to get their foot into being homeowners. And again, yes, I service all communities, and I do the North Shore, I do the South Shore. We primarily do have a huge focus in the city of Revere. I'm also a Revere resident, and a few of my team members are as well. But the idea is to get out there and obviously help as many people as we can in 2024.
Now, I do have to throw a curveball for you. Ready for this? All right, so how have you hedged against the market with consideration of things have been in the past few years?
So, as I said, I actually did a video on this the other day. I said, the numbers still work. There are still properties out there. My team members and myself right now are purchasing a property, a 5-unit, where the numbers still work. It's about educating the consumer, helping, always pivoting, right? We always need to pivot. All right, the rate's high. How do we write up an offer where the seller buys down your rate?
Proactive approach, of course.
Proactive, pivoting, always finding a way to help the consumer. You want to buy this home. How about this program? You were pre-approved with this program. What about this local community program where the rate could be an entire point less? Always going the extra mile and trying to figure out what is the best situation, how to get these people in the home, and also educating them on continuing to monitor their credit, because rates will come down this year, and many of them will be able to refinance.
Absolutely, and I think it's really important that people understand that rent is going to go up, but your mortgage payment is probably going to stay the same or get even lower if you decide to refinance a year or two down the line.
Exactly.
So
people, I tell them, you don't want to pay 7%. Okay, well, you're paying 100% of rent.
Right.
Exactly. For something that you're not owning.
You're not owning.
No asset value.
And another thing, people, I find that they don't look at it this way. If you have a $3,000 mortgage, you will probably be paying maybe $2,600 for that same unit. Fine. But of that $3,000, how much of that are you paying yourself back as that mortgage comes down? And how about the write-off, guys? The write-off on your taxes, whether you own a home or you don't, there's a huge discrepancy on how much taxes you're giving Uncle Sam. The government wants everyone to be a homeowner. They want you to have those write-offs. I mean, we could talk about this. There's a whole bunch
Well, maybe you should do a workshop. Can you do a workshop?
Yeah, why not?
Peggy obviously is a member. We love her, her and her team. But we're going to have to get you in, do a workshop. We're going to do more segments with us, have you educating people.
We've got to get educated.
Of course, we know you're very busy, but we'll have to get it.
Oh, we'll fit it in between selling homes and taking care of children. We'll
do a couple of flips and we'll sit down and chat. So based on all of that, I really want to get that message out there. So I still hear people all the time, and it's a lack of education. People say the market, the market. So what do I do? And a lot of people, they just kind of throwing their hands in, throwing the towel in, so to speak. So for someone, whether it be a first-time homeowner, an experienced, what's your message to them, to these people that say, the market's not good right now, other people told me to wait, what do I do, Patty?
And just to piggyback on that question, if I may, what about those people who do own homes now, who might be thinking of selling, but think, okay, I have a 2%, 3% interest rate right now. If I go out and you know, try to sell this and buy something else, I'm going to end up with a 6.5–7% interest. How do we make sense of that? What do we tell them?
Well, I tell everyone the best time to buy a house was 5 years ago, because that's correct. As we've seen, it's built, the market keeps building, equity keeps building. You want to continue to pay your rent, you're going to continue to throw good money down the drain. Obviously, home ownership, like I just said, has tons of benefits where you're paying yourself first because you're paying off your mortgage, and you're getting a tax benefit, and you're also getting, you know, the pride of home ownership, right? I bought my first house, I was 22 years old, I paid 9.25% interest rate. The prices were obviously a lot lower. As a person that's out in the market, I tell them, you want to buy at a lower rate, that's fine. You're just going to be competing against more people, and you're going to be paying more for your home. Sellers, you're going to eventually have to budge. You're going to have to move. If you have to upgrade, you're going to upgrade. If you're going to downsize, you're going to downsize. There's always the 5 Ds. There's many sellers out there that have to sell. We know it's divorce. We know it's debt. We know it's death.
Diapers.
Whether it's diapers or diamonds.
Right.
Something's going to happen in your life where you're going to have to finally get off the fence, bite the bullet, pay a higher interest rate, but get the house that you want now, because then you're always going to be able to refinance, and you're going to cash out. There's definitely ways to cash out if you sell now. And again, there's vehicles to avoid capital gains. It's called 1031 exchanges. So get with a real estate professional that's going to, you know, dissect it for you. Get with your accountant, but there's always a great time to sell. There's always a need to sell. So eventually, you've got to get off the fence.
Would you say that now is a better time to sell than any other time? And if so, why?
The market's been highest than ever. The market has definitely been higher. I've got people that are selling now and moving out of state. That they finally realize this is I've got to do it. I can't keep waiting. I'm moving out of state. I'm purchasing elsewhere. Some of them don't even buy. Some of them just pay rent and invest this in something else. So everyone's going to have a different reason why they're going to sell, but I would say it's a fabulous time to sell.
Can a seller who does net a profit from the sale of their home, can they use some of that money to buy down an interest rate, or would those funds be allocated?
Of course.
Yes.
So definitely they can buy points with whatever they make on their sale and buy down their rate to something that they're comfortable with.
So even if the average rate is 6.5%,
they can buy it down to 4.5. There's definitely different programs that can allow them. They can also take less years on their mortgage and say, okay, what are you going to offer me on a 10-year? What are you going to offer me on a 15-year? If they put more money down and they take less years of the loan, they're going to be offered a much better rate. So there's definitely just logistics and ways that that anyone can work around it.
Right, and that's why it's so important to speak to someone who's experienced and knowledgeable within the market.
So I'm a first-time home buyer. Okay, I'm interested. I have yet to touch the market, don't know much, limited in my literacy in that area. So what's my first step?
Get pre-approved.
Yes.
Okay. If you're a first-time home buyer, there are certain benefits that you have just by being a first-time home buyer. So make sure you go to a bank and get that right program. There's programs like Mass Housing, which have income limits. There's programs like the one program which have no PMI. We have a first responders program for anyone that's a first responder. There's programs out there depending on the city that you're buying. Town Hall has funds for those cities depending on where you're buying. So there's so many different vehicles. Don't just go with the first lender. FHA is not your only program. Get really well versed and take a first-time home buyer program.
Yeah.
Why not? You know, you may not need it for the loan that you're doing, but you're definitely going to obtain some knowledge.
Right, and I know Peggy is going to agree with this when I say, you know, even before you decide to get pre-approved, have a conversation with a real estate agent or maybe even a few real estate agents and see who you sort of judge with. You know, see who you trust, see who has that integrity and that connection that you're looking for. Is that real estate agent that you're working with someone who's kind of brushing you off, kind of taking a long time to respond and things like that? Or are they responding immediately like Peggy does, right? Are they there for you? Are they going to show up when you need them to? Are they going to point you to a few different lenders who are very knowledgeable about the programs that are out there? And the fact that you, Peggy, are a local here in Revere, it feels like when you're talking that you really have your finger on the pulse of what is out there for residents here in Revere.
Definitely. We obviously, like I said, we concentrate in Revere, a lot in the North Shore and the South Shore, but you know, I would say the East Boston, Chelsea, Revere markets, and Lynn, I know them like the palm of my hand. It's really important to be the expert in a certain area. And when you're looking for a realtor that wants to represent you, and if you want a particular area, make sure that they're versed there.
Yeah,
I agree.
awesome. And then I have one more question. I don't know if you have more, but I got one more, I promise. That's it. For myself, I don't like to talk too much about what I do, but as an advisor, when I'm working with clients, when I'm working with business owners, I find that a team approach, collaborating with other professionals, is helpful. Now, granted, I know that you lead your team of professionals in real estate, but as we talk about things like counseling, right, especially with mortgage counseling and things like that, or having financial literacy, working with advisors. Are you someone, so if you have someone that comes in and perhaps they are lacking full knowledge, right? It seems like you're someone that's experienced enough to really walk them through it, but do you ever partner up or collaborate with other professionals to better serve and create a team for your clients?
Of course, of course. There are professionals that I've trust, that I've used myself, that through the years we've built that relationship, that I know that they follow the same integrity mindset that I have, and I will refer them. Just last month, I went to visit an elderly woman in her home in Saugus, and she wants to sell and said, I don't know what to do with these $500,000 that I am going to end up with. So I gave her some tips, and I also referred her. I gave her a list of 2 different professionals and said, either one of these, I suggest you call, because the sale is really important. Obtaining the maximum amount of money for your home is important, but what's really important is what are you going to do with your money after? How you're going to invest it, how you're going to take care of it and protect it. It's a lifelong investment that she's built, and I feel that that should be taken very seriously.
Absolutely, especially with regard to estate planning. I mean, and that's a whole nother conversation, but many professionals in the industry, specifically in real estate, they, obviously they refer out and collaborate as a team, but tell us a little bit about your knowledge with estate planning and kind of, because I love that you really captured the idea that, it's about wealth management, but it's also about creating a legacy, and we talk about legacy arrangements. And as we grow and we pay into and we attain these assets, liquid or illiquid, right? When we talk about properties, tell us a little bit about, your experience as far as these legacy arrangements and how the estate planning comes in play.
It's very important, and a lot of our clients don't realize it and don't think about it. They think about, okay, I have the house, I have to go to Home Depot, I have to do this, but they don't think about what happens if I'm crossing the street and something were to happen to me. How is this going to, how are my children going to be able to maintain or take care of this, or my wife? So we talk to them about that. We refer them people, when they ask, that can definitely set up an estate planning will and trust, so that everything is notated. They think it's really simple, just put this person on a deed, and it's not that simple. Everything has to be spelled out. So it's really important as part of the post-education process. I get calls all the time, what do I do, who do I talk to? You almost become like that person that they, that they ask for different things. But
it's like a life advisor.
It's life advisor. Yeah, no, and it's really important. I tell them, just like I have my own plan, my succession plan. It's very detailed. No one wants to have these conversations.
Made me very happy saying that.
No one wants to talk about what ifs, but it's something that has to be had, because you work all your life, and then you don't want to leave this up in the air. You don't want to, have your family member. I've seen it, running to your deathbed and having you sign documents while you're ill. It can get pretty sad and pretty confusing. So it's something that everybody that's listening today should really think about. They work so hard on their lives. How do they protect, and how do they make sure that what they want is done?
Yeah. And I'm just going to say, probate, it exists. Okay.
It exists, and it's not fun.
Yeah.
I do have one final question. Why Revere? Why choose to live here and build your business here, since we're on the
I love this question.
Revere TV. What is so special about us here in Revere?
Well, I've lived everywhere. I actually grew up, I was born and raised in the city of Boston. I went to school in Roxbury. I ended up in East Boston in my career. I don't even remember how, and that's where my first rental agency was, out of East Boston. But, you know, there was something, when it was time to buy my first house, there was something about Revere that I really liked. I felt like it was a city, it was close to Boston, but yet it had this feel, right? This old school feel and community. And that's where I decided to buy my first home. Since then, I've moved out, I've moved back, I moved back, I moved out. I've just found that I'm back because this is what feels like home to me. This is what feels like community to me. This is just something that's indescribable, inexplicable. And I see the new generation coming in. I see people coming back, like myself. You know, they've raised their kids and they've lived other places, or, you know, they're ready to raise their kids. So, and they're just coming to the city. I feel, like I said, it has everything. I love the ocean. I love the beach. It's got the transportation. And, you know, a lot of new schools. Hopefully we will have the new high school soon. Yeah. It's in the works. And I just feel like
she brought it up, not me.
Yeah, I feel like it's a city that has a lot to offer.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I also feel like, because you know your stuff in your industry, we have the asset of the beach, right? So when we talk about travel and tourism,
the beach, the train, the airport,
property, location,
parks,
location.
Community.
Community.
Diversity.
Yeah.
Diversity. You said it, Anasha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that's all the questions I have. I mean, I can keep you for a while.
I know, we can keep talking all day if you have.
It's beyond a pleasure to have you in today, especially such an experienced professional like yourself. We also, for myself, thank you for being a consistent support to our organization and a member, and you are an asset.
Absolutely.
To the city and your profession.
And to the people. And to new agents who come into Century 21, who are not even a part of her team.
Thank you.
You are
so
an absolute shoulder. Thank you for being there for me.
I'm very appreciative that you guys invited me here today, and that you know, the chamber is doing so much, right, and so much for the community and for the business people. And you know, I wish you guys all the best and continue to be part of the community here. And I'd love to serve and help anyone who would like my help.
Awesome. We wish you all the best too, Peggy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What a great interview we had with Peggy Pratt of Pratt Properties. She's so knowledgeable.
Yeah, very well experienced. Yeah, very well versed in her industry.
Absolutely.
I'm impressed.
Now we're going to transition to Walkiria of WEA Tax Services. Very excited to learn about what she provides as well.
All right, well, Walkiria, let's bring her in. All right, and we are joined today with owner and founder of WEA Tax Services, or WEA Tax Services.
Correct.
Walkiria Delacruz, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Very excited to have you. And another thing I want to add before we dive into everything, you're a new chamber member too.
I am. I'm new to Revere.
All right.
So thank you for having me in Revere.
Yeah.
I've been looking for a place for a while, and God put Squire Road on the map for me.
Nice.
Wow.
And what
Thank you. 207 Squire Road,
right.
Unit 20.
Nice, nice.
Okay, great. And what made you decide to sort of start here in Revere? What was it about Revere?
Well, I've been doing taxes for almost 9 years. I started with a franchise, and then I moved on through my study through the IRS. And I've been, you know, with partners. Then I was in Lynn for 2.5 years from my home, which I thank all my clients to support me through that. And I've been looking for a place, but it was very expensive. It was very costly, you know, plus most of the time utilities and other fees, and it wasn't a good fit for me at the time. I thought that why would I pay more than what I pay for my mortgage?
Right.
But then I had another broker, which her name is also Walkiria. And she came by the place and she said, listen, there's a place there you should call. And she put me in contact with the landlord. Wow. And when I first went, you know, met Emmanuel, which is one of the landlords there, I fell in love with the place.
Wonderful.
Emmanuel Pena,
I believe
Lux
so.
Freedom Corps.
Yeah.
Also a chamber member. Yeah.
It is. It is. We try to make sure we all chambers members.
That's right.
So and you know, I felt safe. The building is full of different business owners, mostly women, which I love because you know, I love helping
Right.
women to grow.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it was a good fit, and I love it. You guys are more than welcome to come by.
Well, awesome.
I have, and I met your handsome son
I know.
and your
little
husband.
one.
Yeah, you have a
Yeah.
lovely family. You got to check out our office. You have nice space over there too.
Yes, we have a very nice
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that anyone that comes in feel like family.
Yeah.
We are a very family-oriented place. I want to make sure without prejudice of any kind, come in, feel welcome.
It's a safe place.
It's a very safe place. Yeah, and
So-
everyone that works with us, we want to make sure they do the same.
Absolutely. No. And so let's talk a little bit about the work that you do, what you offer your clients. So I've actually had the honor of doing a little collaboration with you with my advising and your work with taxation with business owners. So I just kind of want to showcase to everyone, what you're offering right now, because I'm amazed. As a professional, it's one thing to, and actually you had said this to me, you can drive down the street and you're going to see 10 million different tax businesses and tax service entities. So what makes you different from everyone else? Because I know what it is, but you tell us, what makes you different?
Well, the first thing is that being a tax preparer, I want to teach people what taxes are about. I don't just do taxes. Usually when you go to a tax office, the person doesn't show what's going on the screen. They just tell you, like, this is your refund or this is how much you're going to pay. Because of a personal experience, I decided going into this business that I wasn't going to do that. So the first thing is that I share my screen all the time. My clients feel comfortable because I go line by line of what's taxes, what they're paying for. What is the IRS, saying about their tax, self-employment tax. Most people don't know what that is. How to change, entity from being independent contractor, subcontractor, how to become a corporation, an LLC. So I like teaching people how to, save money in taxes, but at the same time that when they leave my office, if somebody asks them, how did it go, they're able to know exactly what happened, with their tax returns. Also, I go deep into the family. Like I ask about, are you trying to send your kids to college? Are you trying to buy a home? Who live with you? Because a lot of time people don't know they can claim their parents, even if they don't live with them, as long as they support more than 50% of the cost of living. So by asking questions and getting deep into the family, I'm able to know which credits I can use or how we can report the taxes. Also, I like to teach other people about corporations. Before, I saw a lot of Hispanic, especially Hispanic people that I work mostly with, they didn't know how to save money through the taxes.
We were just talking about this. Financial literacy, especially for the Latino demographic. Absolutely.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. And I like because I can start with one family member, and then by word of mouth, I hardly ever do advertising. I think this is the first time in all the years I've been doing taxes that I do marketing. It's just word of mouth. And I teach, their kids when they first leave high school, what to do, how to save money. The parents, that they can still claim the kids until they're 23, they go to school. So there's a lot of information they don't know because they're used to going to a tax office. This is what you're doing, pay me, leave. And then you don't see that preparer the rest of the year. I don't do that. By the time, tax season is over, then I go and visit all my clients.
Wow.
Yeah, I make sure they know that I'm here. I make sure that their employees know that I'm here supporting them. My kids go by. I'm always with my kids, my husband. So that's part of what I want to make sure they feel comfortable sharing their information and not hiding anything from me because they feel that maybe I work for the government, which I always tell them I do not work for the government. I follow the rules and the regulations. So feel free to tell me what's going on
to make sure that they're okay. Exactly.
Correct. And apart from taxes, we offer notary public services, translation. I used to be an interpreter for many years. I work in different hospitals. We also make sure that, after tax season, if they want to come and study what taxes are about, I teach them. What I know.
So you offer education as well?
I offer the education too.
And what other languages do you speak?
I speak Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah, I speak Spanish, but we're trying to implement other people from other culture.
Okay.
I worked very closely a couple of years ago with the Moroccan community.
Which is huge in Revere.
Which is huge in Revere, and we were in Everett, so my previous partner, he speaks Arabic, so I know
Okay,
that
good.
we have him as a support too. And you know, something that also I want to focus on is making sure people do their taxes through the ET numbers. We have a lot of undocumented subcontractors.
I was going to ask you about that, yeah.
Yeah, and they're afraid to do the taxes because they get paid cash and they don't know how to go about it. So in my office, because I'm a certified acceptance agent through the IRS, I'm able to do the taxes and do the application with the W-7, which is the ET application. Now coming to our office, we don't have to send in the passport, because if the passport is real and I'm able to verify that, or legal,
Right.
It's
always a good thing,
It's
yeah.
always a good thing. I'm able to certify the copy of the passport and submit that paperwork to the IRS. Because a lot of people that are documented, like from Venezuela and other countries, it's very hard to get a passport. Most of the embassies in another state, so they're afraid to send in the paperwork,
Right.
because sometimes they get lost or it takes a long time to get returned to them. So in our office, they don't have to worry about that.
No.
Yeah.
So for example, just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
for an undocumented worker, if they're afraid to submit their taxes, well, are there risks involved with that? What are they? Could they be caught?
Yeah. For my knowledge, the IRS has nothing to do with immigration. As a matter of fact, I always tell people
I
it's
never
good.
knew that.
Yeah, it's good that you do your taxes, because that's a proof that you are in the country, that you're paying your taxes properly. You're able to buy your home. You're able to buy a house. You're able to do a full-on business. I have a lot of business owners that do not have a Social Security, and they're able to provide for the family the legal way. So they should not be afraid of doing the taxes. As a matter of fact, it helps.
Yep, it does.
Yeah, because when you go and do the immigration paperwork, one of the first thing they ask, have you filed your tax return? And I always tell people, just do it. You never know, a new law might come up, and if you file your taxes and you claim your kids, kids are also able to get an ET number or a tax identification number. That's proof that you're here to do the job that you telling immigration that you want to do. That is working, doing other, helping other people get employed, and supporting your family.
Right.
So do not be afraid of that.
Right,
Always,
and also paying your fair share to the government
correct.
for living here.
Correct. And I'm not a lawyer, so I always tell my clients, verify the information with your lawyers. We have a lot of people that are coming through the borders, asylum and other type of immigration paperwork. I always say, before you apply for ET number, please talk to your immigration lawyer.
Yeah.
See if that is something that would affect or not in your paperwork, because I cannot tell them otherwise.
But that's a huge one, though. I'm sorry to cut you
No,
off.
that's okay.
That was a big one. I'm glad you guys brought that up, because I know a lot of, and I'm also not an immigration
Yeah.
attorney, so I'm not going to speak law because it's not my forte. However, what I do know, especially with advising and financial planning, is that if we do have individuals that have the TIN number but don't have further documents, I think a lot of people get lost in that, and they think, well, if I don't have the documents, then I can't claim my taxes. And I love that you really highlighted that. As all individuals become more educated and literate
Correct.
on taxation, businesses, stuff like that, if you work there, then pay the taxes.
You have
and
to,
like
yeah.
you said, it looks better for you, so that when you are to present yourself and say, I'm ready to be here full time, I paid my taxes, and that's a huge one.
Yes,
So, yeah.
and I teach a lot of people say, but I'm going to pay a lot of taxes. I'm like, tax evasion is a crime. Do not do that. Make sure
You'll pay more later.
You pay
Yeah.
more later, and it's a headache. So make sure you file your taxes. Now, a lot of time they get paid cash, so I make sure they open a bank account, deposit your income, and then I use the bank statements to see exactly their income, and if they have any deductions. I always teach them, make sure you pay everything that is related to business with your business account, and save, instead of 10% federal, 5 state, do 15 federal, at least 12 the state, so you can be in a good position at the end of the year or the beginning of the year when taxes come around. You have the money saved, and you won't feel like you have a big tax bill. So that's something that we also make sure we do. Now, in our office, we want to, all our clients have to bring the last 3 of taxes. We want to see what they've been doing, how they've been doing it.
Right, and the trend.
And the time. And if we had to do many returns because there's something missing or something is wrong, we make sure to tell them. Yeah. We want to make sure they know everything going on to the taxes.
Okay.
And so we were also touching on, so other than your tax knowledge and your experience with that, as you were hitting on, you're not just someone that, come on in, I'm going to prepare this, done, okay, yep, here's your bill. So, it's more of an organic experience. You obviously, you're passionate about what you do.
Yeah.
And from my own perspective, please correct me if I'm wrong, but what I've noticed is when I first met you, you also iterated to me, Erica, I had a bad experience and I wasn't taken care of properly. And so therefore it taught me that, it sounds like that's what fueled you. And please correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct. That is correct. No, that is correct. That's exactly what happened. I was a medical interpreter and I drove a lot around the state. And when it was time to do my taxes, my tax preparer at the time didn't ask questions. She didn't ask about the mileage and the expenses that I thought at the time that I had to deduct. And we changed the preparer to a different gentleman that have a tax office in East Boston, which is my husband met him through his job. And I went there, very nice gentleman at the time. He charged us, I believe, like $250, which we paid very happy because it was a different experience. But then, my tax refund got delayed. And I started calling the IRS. And when I called the IRS, one of the questions to verify your identity could be how much you got as a refund or how much you had to pay to the federal government. And I told them at the time a refund, and they said, no, there's something wrong. The tax preparer charged you an extra $800. And when I was surprised, I'm like, okay, they said, call your preparer, see what happened. When I called that gentleman, he said, oh, well, I did that because I was trying to put a protection on audits, which is something that is offered, but it does not cost $800. And apart from that, he never mentioned it to me and my husband. So I felt very disrespected. I felt like he was stealing from me.
Right, like cheated.
Very cheated at. Yeah. And, he refunded like $500 from there. He kept the difference. And I got so upset. I remember I was in my living room at the time. And I felt so upset. I'm like, this happened to me, that know the language. I've been in this country since I was 9. I grew up in Lynn. And I felt like I was being, taken advantage of. Yeah. And I swore that day, I'm like, I'm going to learn more how to do taxes. Because my first job when I was 15, it was in a tax office.
Okay.
It was funny, but and I said, you know what, I'm going to start doing this. And at the time I was looking for homes with my husband with no money. It was just the thought I wanted to have a house. And the Century 21 lady said, you know what, I know a franchise, they can teach you about taxes. And I went into it, and I stayed there for 3 years. So I wanted to change the dynamic because I lived in East Boston for 21 years. And I always say, if that happens to me and my husband, that I know the way around with some other organization, what would it be with these, people from Central America?
What's happening to other people? Yeah.
Yeah, without the language, being afraid of, the immigration status, not wanting to complain because they don't want to, confront the person. Right. And that person's still doing taxes. And I bet, he's still doing the same thing to other people. Because I met other people along the way that told me the same story. That the refund was taken. I'm like, no, I'm gonna change the story. So that's why when I do taxes or when I do,
story.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, I'm gonna change the story. I want them to. What happened to me, I don't want it to get repeated.
Right. It sounds like integrity is something that's at the forefront of your business, especially because of what happened to you.
Especially what happens to me, and because I have 3 boys, I want to make sure that my legacy is your mom did the right thing. I work very closely with a lot of business owners, and they can testify to how privacy is #1 in our office, understanding what's going on with the business, and also making sure they don't have to do shortcuts. Yeah. Unfortunately, we're very used to having shortcuts. I don't want that. I want to make sure that business owners are ready to go if grants comes along, loans with the banks. I'm used to talking to the banks, going with them to meetings. Yep. I take the time and I go with my clients to their meetings. Doesn't matter.
I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
You hold their hand through each aspect of the process.
Each one of them. Yeah.
Multiple business owners.
Multiple business owners. We have daycares, restaurants, beauty salons, barber shops, subcontractors, cleaning company, and that's something that we also do. We create businesses. When someone comes to my office with an idea, I automatically go crazy thinking, what can we do? Who am I going to introduce you to? Let's make it happen.
This is what intrigued me personally. Yeah, just the fact that you're open to creativity, and if someone's like, hey, they're not coming to your office and saying, hey, I need my taxes prepared. The next person's coming over and they're saying, hey, I need help. And you're like, okay, so let's do this together. And like I said, I've seen firsthand, I mean, you're sitting down with them in their meetings and helping them develop their businesses and advocate.
I advocate a lot because as an interpreter, I saw a lot of things that, with different organizations that the time people would leave their offices and feel empty, like, what we just talked about, or what happened, and I had to re-educate them again because the professional wasn't taking their time. I take the time to make sure they understand. And if it's crazy during tax season, I always make sure that we do it on a Sunday.
Oh, you work weekends.
You work weekends.
I'll work weekends. Yeah. I make sure I make the time. My family suffer a little bit, but that's part of the legacy I want to leave. I want to make sure that one day, if I'm not in this business or working at all, that if my kids come by any place, they offer a glass of water. That's what I want. Money's good, helps. But sometimes, I always say, when your community is strong, your kids are safe.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's what I want.
And you're working your part to make it a good community for your children and for everyone else.
And everyone else.
And even though, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, even though, it might feel like your children are suffering now, one thing or one philosophy that I really align with is that, you're really teaching them the meaning of hard work, the meaning of supporting their community, the meaning of what it takes to build relationships, which is key to a successful life. So although they might not get that time with you right now, you're really teaching them so much about what it means to be a successful and integrated adult.
That is correct, and that's my number one. With my business owners, I always make sure they do taxes right because I want the kids to go to college. If they feel college is for them. Now, it's not just for everyone, but if they feel it goes to them. Like right now, FAFSA time is coming, and I'm helping all my business owners with the kids with the FAFSA because a lot of information they don't know from the taxes. So I'm there for them. I want to make sure that FAFSA going in time. We have one of my youngest clients. She's going to Harvard. And I'm doing the FAFSA for her. That makes me feel so proud.
You're a part of the journey.
I'm part of the journey. Wow. For her first time going to a major college. That makes me proud. And that's what we want from our office. We have other team there, which I'm teaching and guiding them. I review every single tax that comes through the office. Every single paper, I review them all. I think 3 to 4 people looking at one document is better than just one. And we want to make sure we have the opportunity for those employees that have the time to grow and do their own offices. And hopefully we change a lot of community.
So would you say you're someone that, you're educating as you're bringing on new employees and you're helping them to become equipped to do, what you're doing, but also you're saying that you're open to the idea of helping people learn, grow, and start their own.
Correct. Yes. Yes. Yeah. In the office, it's not just taxes. We want to grow together. We want to grow together. I will never say no to helping any of the people that come by with anything they need. If I don't know because of it's not my education or I'm not a lawyer, I connect them with the people that knows. As you know, I'm always refer them to different lawyers, to the chamber, to financial advisors, to loan originators, broker. I make sure in 2 to 3 years, they have their homes and they have their own business. That's how we grow together.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. That's absolutely amazing.
Networking's core, as we know.
That's true.
Yeah, and I appreciate that about you as well, is that you're very big about networking and collaborating with other professionals. And that's huge because that's how we better service our clients and our consumers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, correct. And you know, one thing that I want to make sure is people do not cut corners. Do it right.
Yep.
Do it right, because the pandemic teaches us all that if you don't do it right, you lose. Most of my business owners got benefits from grants and loans because they were doing it right. And it's sad when I see people coming over losing their businesses because the preparer or the accountant wasn't guiding them when that was the heart of the business. You know, that's why a lot of businesses are closing down. Because we were, you know, preparers, we worry about making the money.
Right.
We not worry about teaching our community.
And educating them.
And
right.
educating them. And also not abusing on the fees and the charges, because that's another thing, you know, that I see a lot. I want to be just fair for them and us.
Right.
So anyone is welcome to come to our office, and then you can decide.
I want to stop in.
Yeah.
So just to reiterate, if you don't mind, just kind of telling everybody out there where you're located and how they can contact you.
Perfect. We are located at 207 Esquire Road in Revere, Unit 20, which is a second floor. Our phone number is 617-401-1577. That's a cell phone from the office. Most of the time I'm available. Please leave a message. Come by. And we're gonna, you know, if you go to the chamber, you're gonna see our information there. So
You got
anyone, and please be part of the chamber. They're
Yay,
awesome.
She said it. I'm in.
They're awesome.
Well, Walkiria, it was very much a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you,
for the opportunity.
Walkiria.
I'll be more than happy to see you guys again.
WEA Tax Services right here, Walkiria Delacruz.
Thank you.
Speaking with Walkiria was great. I learned so much about taxes. I love the fact that she goes through line by line and explains everything. And the fact that she was burned with taxes kind of helps me trust her even more.
Yeah, I would tell you, I couldn't agree more. It definitely brings a lot of value to the table when a professional has experienced it firsthand and that has fueled their passion to educate themselves and others. Like Walkiria was saying. I love it.
Absolutely. And I feel that that passion and that integrity really came through with both of our interviewers today, both Peggy Pratt and Walkiria. What a wonderful time.
I thought it was really cool. I had no idea that you guys had met before. So Peggy kind of took care of you when you first started.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
First day in, even though I wasn't on her team, Peggy brought me in, showed me the ropes, talked to me, text me, everything.
No.
Yes, yes. I
care of
can't
you.
say how grateful I am to her. So, very grateful.
Absolutely. And
For
we know
that.
in business it's important to support each other.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Now, Erica, I know that we have a lot of events coming up. What's going on?
And we've got some great events planned this year. So let's begin with our networking nights. So as many people know, and in case you don't, every other month we do what's called a networking night at one of our member venues, restaurants. And that's essentially a business card exchange, cocktails, raffles, cash bar, great time to network, meet and greet. So our next one is going to be on February 1st at Capri Bistro and Lounge, which is located on North Shore Road in Revere. So we're looking forward to that, and that's going to conform with the usual hours we have. So February 1st, which is a Thursday night at Capri Bistro and Lounge, and that is from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Again, we'd like to remind everyone that all are welcome. Networking nights are always free for chamber members. However, if you are not a member, you should become one. But in that case, we do take $25 at the door for non-members to further support the organization and our members. Next, the following month would be April 18th for our next networking night thereafter. And that one, this is really exciting, is going to be at Mike Aldi's new restaurant. So as we know, Mike Aldi, of his many establishments, has Cut 21 restaurant, which we absolutely love. But now actually we have a new restaurant by Mike that is going into the Cut 21 location, and that is Vivi. So the chamber has been honored with being one of the first major events there. So we'll be having that networking night again, same time, 6:30 to 8, and that would be Thursday, April 18th at Vivi. Same policy. If you're a chamber member, come on by. If you're not, come on by, but it is $25 at the door. And then with that, as we started flip-flopping and doing every other month for networking nights, on the opposite months, we're going to do coffee chats, right? So as many people heard, we do chatting with the chamber. Chatting with the chamber is something that we kind of formulated through trial and error last year. We've had some amazing events through it. And so our next one actually is this Friday, January 19th. And that will be sponsored by Those Who Can for Those in Need, which was founded and operated by Judy Van Kooyman, which is an organization, a nonprofit entity that supports the needs of those in need. And that covers many areas, homelessness, and many areas to serve those. So Judy will be highlighted for that at the Chamber office for that coffee chat on the 19th. And again, coffee chats are always 9:30 to 11:30 in the morning. So it's a great time on a Friday morning to meet and greet. Right? So we talk about networking. It's another opportunity to network with others, get to know community members. We have city councilors that come in. So it's just a really good time to get involved. Again, with coffee chats, very similar to that of our networking nights. Become a member, guys. It's worth it. You get in free to these. But if you are not a member, you are more than welcome to come. It's $25 at the door. And just a little bit more about that. With these coffee chats, we've actually decided, and we had an events committee meeting last night, and Anasha was kind of helping with formulating a better idea for this. So everyone look out, because these coffee chats that are every other month will continue to be on Fridays from 9:30 to 11:30. However, we are now offering that members can actually sponsor it, right? So we tried to kind of create a way that members can not only sponsor but spotlight it, whether it be run a workshop and really cater around them. So we'll be working with members to set up a fixed fee that a member would pay in order to facilitate a workshop or spotlight a coffee chat. And then they would still have an array of choices, whether it's at the Chamber or one of our member venues. And again, the Chamber always helps market and, breakfast, fare, and coffee. And then after that, in April, we have a really big event for our Chamber, and that's the installation of officers ceremony. So historically, as many people know, and in case you don't, our organization is ran and operated by a board of directors who make the key decisions that pertain to our organization, how it operates. And the installation of officers is a time where we come together and we are officiated into our positions in the board. So this is huge, especially with my colleagues. We have quite a few board members that came in this year. So it'll be a great time to solidify that. It's a wonderful ceremony. We'll be holding a luncheon on April 20th, and it'll be from 12:30 to 3 p.m. We'll be hosting that at the Marina at the Wharf. So please, tune in, stay abreast to our updates. As you know, we always send out those updates on our Chamber website, on our Facebook page. If you haven't liked us yet, like us. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, or simply reverechamberofcommerce.org. And finally, to cap it off, we have plenty more events this year, but I have one more that I'm going to give everyone a sneak peek to, and that is on June 2nd. We have yet to completely solidify the location, so I don't want our member venue to say, oh, I didn't hear about this yet. But we are planning June 2nd for an outdoor cornhole event. And we will be outreaching to the community for sponsorships. This is going to be an amazing event because it's going to include everybody in the community. And we're going to try to get teams together and make it a team sport and really collaborate on that. So tune in, guys. As you hear, we have a lot of really cool events coming up, both member-specific as well as community-specific. So we look forward to diving into those with you. And we thank you for checking it out today. Wow, what a great show we had today. Wonderful guests. We just want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in today for our episode of The Wave and checking out the highlights and updates on the Chamber. And we look forward to seeing everyone again soon on The Wave.